friends, welcome to Project Homestead. Today we're going to be caramelizing some onions and we're going to be talking about my top tips, things that I've realized as I've been going along my journey of trying to get out of debt. And we're going to sit down and talk about that because it takes quite a while to caramelize some onions. I really want to see if these will freeze up well. I think they will. Google told me yes, and I want to test that out because if I can do a ton of caramelized onions, I'm in heaven. Caramelized onions, confit garlic. Where do I sign up? These onions were on sale, and so I jumped at it and I got them all. Like, I bought all of them. I want to caramelize those. Today's video was supposed to be getting through some clutter. I pulled out all the stuff from this closet yesterday and I was going to finish that up today along with my closets, the kitchen, the kids' rooms, and the outside closet. But honey, we're far from that. I look like a hoarder. I've got animals in there in the clutter. It looks like I have big rats in the hoarder mess. This isn't gonna be finished and edited by tomorrow morning if I want to have any shred of sanity left. So don't worry, that is coming, but I'm gonna plan that for either Wednesday or Friday of next week. So it's gonna be a huge get rid of things. We'll see how many bags I do get. My goal is 10. I'm already at 2 and I've only gone through one thing, so I think we'll make it. That's not what this video is about. We will do that video. Stay tuned for that. We're gonna caramelize our onions. We're gonna talk about some debt and just some tips that might help you to be able to help free up some debt for yourself. Just things that I've learned over the years, because this is the year that my husband and I are gonna be able to get ourselves completely out of all the unnecessary debt. Our mortgage, we have a very tiny mortgage, which I'm not worried about. This is one day gonna be a rental and the renters can help me take care of that in exchange for a place to live. So I'm not worried about that so much. I am wanting to get rid of credit cards and little loans and all those things that just nag at you. You know what I mean?
There's a new day that will come again tomorrow.
Look at the size of that one. I have a big hand. Whoa. Sorry. This is the part that I don't love. Somebody told me on here that her father, I think she said her father, and I can't remember who it was. I can never remember. I have so many of you guys. That are always giving me these really good tips and tricks. And so I can never remember who is it that gave me which one. But that was a really good one. She said that if you freeze the onion slightly, it takes away the onion eyeball burn. Actually, let's test that out today. Let's get these into the freezer and then we will start on the debt video and then we'll come back in about 20 minutes and cut them up. So we've got the onions in there and they're going to be freezing for about 20 minutes and then we'll come back to those in a minute. Just want to see if I can get rid of that every time. You guys see it. Every time I'm like, oh, burn. Very sensitive. So I intermittent fast, but today I'm struggling. Oh, and there's my bra. I dropped my kids off in school and you can totally see my bra there. That's cute. Let's change it. We'll just use this little wrap here, which I actually found. I want to see if I can like wrap this around me because I found this, and this is something that I used to wear when I was a little bit skinnier. And I found it when I was cleaning out that closet. I'm happy with that, and it covers up the brassiere, so cool. That is zapping my brain. I must leave this whole area or I'm going to not be able to focus on anything but that.
There's a new day to wash away the pain.
Hey friends, let's get going on this. Let's talk about this because this is something that I've become very passionate about. There was a time in my life where I did not think that I was going to ever be able to pay off all of my debt. It was too crushing. And I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I would love to share that message of hope with you all, because if it's something that you're struggling with or you know someone who's struggling with debt, it can be pretty crushing. It's definitely embarrassing. You don't want to tell people that you can't do something because, you know, you have too much debt. No one wants to be that person, especially when you're, you know, my age. I'm 39 years old and I'm just barely to the point where I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, that's not fun. There's nothing enjoyable about that. Take my shoes off. So we're going to jump in right now and we're going to give you guys the tea while I drink my, it's not tea, coffee. Welcome to my office. That's so funny. I love being outside. The fresh air, it feels so good. It's invigorating. All right. I'm not going to talk about my debt story or anything like that. We're going to get straight to these tips so that I can help you guys out and hopefully you pick up a thing or two. Maybe in the comments below as well, you can share some tips or tricks that you have learned because I am here for that. You know that I love all of the helpful tips and tricks that you guys leave down in the comments. That is the best part about this channel, is connecting with you guys. I had to come to the car because the birds are being too loud, you guys, and I didn't want to voice over this. It would look weird if I'm in the backyard talking and then voicing over it. So we're in the car, aka my office. Usually I'll come here to hide from my children, but today I'm hiding from the mess in my house and the birds in the backyard. So let's get straight into this. I've got a list here that we can just chat about really quickly. I'm going to try to make this as short and simple and condensed as I possibly can to give you guys those tips, just things to think about, and then we'll get to those onions. The first tip that I have is probably pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but for some reason, it's really hard to do this one when you're in a lot of debt. And that is to stop borrowing money. Just stop, like cold turkey, stop. It's really difficult to stop borrowing especially when you're in a place where you're stressed out. And to be quite frank, it feels really good to have money to go buy a new computer or car or whatever it is that you want to get. Now, I understand sometimes you do have to borrow money because there are moments in your life where you're like, you know what, this is a necessity. Obviously, I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about the latest gaming system that you really have to have because you have FOMO that your friends have it and you don't have it. Or the freeze dryer that you want to buy to put on your Project Homestead channel, and it's a couple grand, and you could totally do that if you just took out a little bit of credit, just a little bit. But you're going to say, no, I'm going to wait on that because waiting is going to give me less stress in the long run. It's going to be able to get out of debt faster. So just whatever it is that you think you need, like right then, I could take the freeze dryer and make it a necessity. I could be like, it is a necessity because long-term food storage, it is a necessity. But in this current time of my life, this very moment, I don't have room for it. And it's going to slow down my debt paying. So really, in this moment, it's not a necessity. So really get really honest with yourself on what things are necessities and what things are not. And if you don't have to borrow any money, don't. The banks definitely aren't on your side. They make you feel like they're on your side. They make you feel like they genuinely care about your family and their comfort, but they don't. They don't care. Which brings me to my next point. Consolidation or a balance transfer onto a credit card. Those can be slippery slopes. Be careful. They can make it sound like it's a really great idea. You're taking all your little debts and you're putting them in one little place where you can just pay off one payment. But that can be tricky. So make sure that if you don't understand the legal jargon, that you get somebody who does understand that before you sign your name on the dotted line. They sound really good in the beginning, but they can get you in a pot of boiling water you do not want to get into. So make sure that you understand and that it actually is a good deal because 9 times out of 10, the banks are trying to keep you a customer as long as possible because that's more money in their pocket every single month, right? The longer that you're in debt, the longer you're making payments, the longer you're paying interest, and the longer they get that little cream off the top of the milk that you're working for and they're pocketing. My second tip is to track your spending. It is so easy to overspend when you're not keeping track of the money that's going out of your account. One time, my husband and I got a credit card and we were like, only $3,000 is the max we're going to spend on this credit card. It was a $6,000 credit card, and within no time we had that maxed out. So this is what my point. Stop borrowing. We shouldn't have borrowed. It wasn't a necessity. And stop telling yourself that I'll just keep track of it in here because you're not going to. Some places you can keep track of your spending
or just in your notes. You can keep notes if that works for you. You can do a budget worksheet, actual physical one that you write out, or you could do an Excel spreadsheet. There's so many apps out there. You could do an app. You can keep your receipts and go through that each month. That can be helpful information. I would just make sure there's some place that you're writing down your spending each and every month so you can know what's going out of your account. There is nothing worse than opening up your account and feeling like a victim because you've overspent and you haven't kept track of it. And so you're sitting here going, where did all my money go? Oh my goodness, has someone taken money out of my account? Like, has someone stolen from me? And you realize, oh no, I just wasn't keeping track of where I was spending the money. Which brings me to my third tip: to make a budget. Tracking your spending goes hand in hand with making a budget. Also, what goes hand in hand with this is making a meal plan. One of the biggest places that people overspend is food. So if you can crunch that food bill down, you are going to be doing yourself and your family and your pocketbook a world of good. So map out your budget, what you're going to spend, write all of your expenses, all of your bills, all of your debt, and then write the minimum payment for all of those things. Get a number, then look at how much you make, figure out how much you have left over, and within that money that's left over, now you've got your money that you got to figure out your food budget, and you got to figure out how to pay that debt down. We'll get to paying the debt down in just a minute. But right now you want to make sure you're not overspending on that budget. You want to figure out what kind of things can I take out of my budget? What things can I close? Like, do I need this app that I'm spending on each month? Do I need that app that I'm spending on? Do I actually go to the gym? Am I using that gym membership? Are you turning your lights off? That's a huge one. You can save so much money by just flipping your lights off. Another thing that can help you with budgeting is to get folders and actually withdraw the money out of your account and physically have that money on you. Get your different envelopes and write food and household, or food and household, gasoline, recreational, I don't know, whatever things you are doing, have it in that folder, have it in that envelope so that you can actually see what money's actually going out. When you do it that way, it changes you so much because you're like, wow, I can actually see the money going out of my account, which you could see the money going out of your account if you log into your bank account every day, but a lot of people don't do that. I did that for a while. I did the envelopes. I did the envelopes for a while and it really helped me out. Number 4 is to map out your debt. You want to figure out, what debt am I going to tackle first, second, third, fourth, and with the money that's left over that I can see from writing down my budget, writing down all my expenses, with that money, how can I best attack my debt? The way that you can best attack it is by paying off your smallest one first and by paying slightly over the minimum on everything else if you can do that. If you can't pay over the minimum, don't worry about it. Pay that little extra on the smallest debt, get that smallest debt paid off, and then take that money that you've now freed up and put that on the next debt and keep going with that pattern. If you can also pay another 5 to I don't know, 15, 20 bucks extra on each of your debts, that's going to start moving that number. If you're just paying the minimum on your debts, you're really just paying the bank and their credit card companies each month just to exist. I mean, you're working really hard for your money. You want to start getting that debt down. You want to start actually having money that is actually your money. Nobody wants to just forever pay the banks and their credit cards companies, which is why they make it sound like such a sweet deal for you when it's really just not. What they're really honestly saying to you is, I want to trap you so that you can just pay me for the rest of my life and I don't have to do anything. I can just live off of that cream at the top that you have to give to me because you're in debt to me. You owe it to me. So if you can, pay a little extra to just start moving that down just a little bit. But put your main focus on paying off that smallest debt first, and then move that extra money that you freed up onto the next and the next and the next. My next tip is also pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty obvious, but it's also a very hard one to do, and that is to not give up, to find joy in the journey. It may sound pretty silly for me to say, find joy in paying off your debt, but you can do that. If you put your focus on finding ways to pay that debt off and you're watching that debt go down, it does give you joy. It gives you peace of mind. It gives you security. Financial security starts to happen. You can find joy. Also, a way to find joy while you're paying off your debt is to do things that bring you joy, like go for walks, go hiking, focus on your health, and take up a hobby that's not going to cost you a lot of money. Maybe you want to collect stamps. Maybe you want to become better at cooking or something. Just take something that you can focus on being better at that gives you happiness so that the debt doesn't feel so crushing. And remind yourself all the time, revisit your why all the time. This brings me to my next tip, which is to make a dream board, to write yourself a letter, or to write affirmations for yourself that you can say to yourself every single day that keep you present. You have got to stay present. If you get laxed, this is going to slow down. You need to be very, very certain that this is what you want to do and go for it with everything that you've got. I heard it once described that if a deer is being chased by a bear, the deer's not going to let up while that bear is on its heels. That deer is not going to let up at all until it knows that it is 100% safe. It's not going to go, oh yeah, I can see the bear still running at me full force, but I'm just going to slow down a little bit because I've got a little bit ahead of the bear. No, it's not going to do that. It's going to be like, I am laser focused to get myself out of danger, and I am going to keep going until I get there. I will not stop until I get there. And then when the deer can see the bear is nowhere in sight, it is 100% sure it is safe. That is when it slows down. That is when it stops, and that is when it knows it is safe. And then it can eat its like clovers and grass and flowers and rejoice because it's free, right? Like you. You're going to be free one day too. My next tip is to get a debt buddy. This can be somebody who's also in debt. I actually think if you know somebody who's really wanting to get out of debt and you're very close and you trust each other with that type of information, because you're going to have to share however much you're comfortable with of getting out of debt. But if you have somebody that also wants to go through this journey, go through it with them. Share these things so you can celebrate each other as you go along. We've all heard of weight loss buddies or health buddies to get us going on that. So why not a debt buddy? Why not somebody who can really support you and you can support them and you can cheer each other on? I love that. It's such a beautiful thing. When women support other women, I can't even begin to explain what a beautiful thing that is that you've created. And I think there definitely needs to be more of that in the world. It doesn't have to be a woman, I guess. I mean, for myself as a married woman, I wouldn't personally feel comfortable getting some sort of friend that I'm going to share very intimate details with that's a guy, because it's just kind of weird. I know that would weird my husband out. So, I mean, if I was single, maybe it could be a guy friend, but being married, it's probably best that I keep that with the females. But you do you, boo. You do you. There's no judgment. Another thing that you can do if you don't want to get a buddy or you don't have anybody in mind is you can join a group on Facebook or join a forum or some sort of thing or a blog where other people are getting together and they're sharing their stories, and then you can jump on that and become part of their tribe or their community and share your story with them, and they can cheer you on as well. But being around like-minded people is so important, which brings me to my next tip. Be wise with what you listen to and watch. For me, I really want to do a homestead, right? So I am watching a lot of YouTube with Becky from Igor Homestead. I'm watching her currently build her dream homestead, and it gets me excited, and I cheer her on, and I love watching it. I am here for that. And so watching her gets me excited for her, and it also gets me excited for my future because it's something that I really want, and it keeps me present. It's very important to stay present. Also with the garden, I watch Mark over at Self-Sufficient Me, and I love that guy. Like, I feel like he would be the best neighbor ever. I can tell that he vibes on a similar frequency that I do. Like, we are very like-minded, and he is a good person. You can tell he's a good person. So even though neither Mark or Becky know I watch them, I am hanging out with them because I'm watching their videos and I am letting their good vibes into my life. What we watch, what we let our mind be engaged with is so vital, and it really shapes our existence. So if you want to pay off that debt, make sure that you are listening to books that are going to help you, or reading those books, or make sure that you are watching channels that talk about getting out of debt. If you want to garden, watch channels that garden. If you want to homestead, watch channels that homestead. Keep yourself very focused on what it is you want to do. When you're trying to lose weight, what do? You follow these channels that are going to keep you in that mindset. Do the same thing with getting out of debt. My very last tip is to talk to a professional. Make sure that it's somebody that is genuinely invested in what they do and they enjoy watching people get out of debt. Make sure it's something that is a passion to them, because if it's not a passion to them, they're probably in that sort of work to line their pocket. But there are those people that are passionate about helping other people get out of debt. Make sure that you do your research on this and that you go with somebody that you trust and that isn't going to charge you through the nose, especially in the beginning of getting out of debt, because, well, you're trying to get out of debt and the last thing you want to do is spend hundreds of dollars on a financial consultant when you could be putting that towards debt. If that's just not an option, then make sure that you're reading books, you're listening to podcasts, you're doing everything you can and listening to the experts that are out there, because they have gotten a fountain of good tips. They are just so knowledgeable, and I highly recommend that you keep yourself constantly listening to those professionals, constantly watching what they're doing, constantly talking to your workout buddies and your communities, and keeping yourself focused. Paying off debt also helps you with your mental health quite a lot, and slowing down and being present and keeping yourself focused on paying down that debt and focusing on what your life is going to look like when you're out of debt, and also being grateful for your life now, your future life when you're out of debt and you're enjoying those things. Being grateful for that now brings you a lot of energy towards your goals. I highly recommend doing that. Andrew Huberman, I don't know if you watch him, but he said something that really got me, it just hit me really hard. Somebody asked him, and I'm paraphrasing the question and his answer, but somebody asked him, what advice would you give to somebody if they're trying to be healthy? Like, what is the one piece of advice that you would give them if they're just really trying to prolong their lives and become really healthy? And he said to intentionally slow down. He's like, I can't explain to you the health benefits that would bring to somebody if they intentionally chose to just slow down. And that's what you need to do with the paying the debt. It is not going to feel nice until it feels nice. It is not going to be gone until it is gone. But intentionally slowing down and being present and surrounding yourself with the things that you need to surround yourself with in order to get out of that debt is going to bring you so much health and happiness, and it is going to free up space for you to be able to manifest the things that you want to manifest in your life. I guess that wasn't my last tip. My last tip is to believe in yourself. If we don't believe in ourselves, it's never going to happen. Ever. You need to realize how amazing you are, because you are amazing. I think you know it, but a lot of times the world makes us second guess our potential. And I just ask that you don't let the world in on that. You're a beautiful person. You clearly want to better your life and better other people's lives, and you can. You definitely can. Believe in yourself. There will be moments where it's very hard. I have definitely shed tears. I am not going to say that this has been easy, but it has been worth it. That is my top tips to helping you become financially free. And I'm not there yet, but I am a lot closer now that I am just starting to snowball my debt. My debt is really starting to take off. In the beginning, I was only paying $5, $10 most towards my debt. I just didn't want to pay that minimum payment because I wanted to see it go down even by dollars. I didn't want to keep it at maxed out because it made me feel like I was just paying these greedy men in suits, and it just made my stomach churn. And so I said, even if it's $5 that I've paid down on top of the minimum, fine. And over time, it is more and more. And when I pay off that little thing, I move it to the next. And then when I pay that off, I move it to the next. And I had so many little things in the beginning. It was overwhelming. But now I've just got a couple of big things that I'm finishing off, and I'm done. My husband and I are done. Other than our small little mortgage, which we're not worried about because it will be a rental one day, and the renters can help us pay off our mortgage in exchange for having a beautiful home to live in, right? So it's all going to come full circle. You can do this. Believe in yourself. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any other tips that you have that you would like to share, because you guys have got the best tips ever. That's why I love you. They definitely feel cold. They feel cold, not frozen. Do they have to be frozen, or is cold good enough? Cold is gonna have to be good enough. If this doesn't work, then next time I'll try frozen. I've actually thought about putting goggles on. I've heard before putting swimming goggles on while you cut your onions works. I'm not prideful. I don't have so much pride that I wouldn't do that. Let's do these onions. First onion. Will it work?
There's a new day to wash away the pain. There's a new day to take away your sorrow, and the old ways get washed out by the rain. Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this: if you try.
Oh no! It got me. It got me. To be fair though, it's not the onions I'm cutting. It's those that have already been cut.
There's a new day to leave behind your troubles. There's a new day, and it will set you free. There's a new day.
Alright, we got quite a lot of onions. I didn't actually do all of them. I still got that many. But my pan was pretty full, so we're just going to cover these with some avocado oil. I'm gonna stick quite a lot. We're gonna add some salt. Just sprinkle that on the top there. These through occasionally. In the beginning, it's a very slow process. But we're here for it. We have patience for good things, right? Like paying off debt. We have patience for that. So we know in the end it's going to pay off and be delicious and lovely. So we're patient, right? Slow and slow. Labor of love. Well, I'm back from school now. School pickup and play dates, etc., etc. So I had to stop the caramelizing onions, so we're gonna get back to that. Because both my cooktop, my induction cooktop right there, and my pan are both on the cheaper end, the pan wasn't distributing, this pan doesn't distribute the heat properly. And so it took a really, really long time to caramelize these. It's almost 9 o'clock at night, but we have got to finish taking care of these caramelized onions. I will be so happy if these freeze up well. So after the school pickup, I finished caramelizing the onions. All in all, it took over an hour to caramelize those onions because, like I said earlier, I don't have the best cooktop and I don't have the best pan, so the heat doesn't distribute properly. But I let them cool down completely after they were finally caramelized, and now I'm putting them in single serving baggies so that either myself or my husband can grab one out and add it to an omelet or on a sandwich or whatever it is that we want to add it to. I am going to probably eat one of these tomorrow and see how it defrosts and the texture, etc. But I'm just going to go ahead and finish bagging these up now and then get them put away in the freezer. And that is this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I really hope that you guys got some inspiration for paying off debt or whatever it is that you are trying to do right now. That might be lose weight. That might be save money for a house. That might be, I don't know, so many different things. But whatever that is for you, I want to wish you the best of luck and tell you that I believe in you and that you've got this. Whatever it is, just stay focused, stay positive, stay present, and most importantly, believe in yourself. I really hope that you guys got something out of my video, got something that will help inspire you to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve. I know that you can do it. I hope that you believe that you can do it. Until next time, friends, I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Darling, you've got to keep